Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. We're on to our second recording of the day, so I'm over on the European account. Today is Friday, December 22nd, just a couple days until Christmas. Yes, that's the thing. So I must have gotten a watch and learn, or just because the daily quests are all messed up. I only have 2 quests here to do. 5 games with the Major Hunter. I still have, I believe, 5 games I need to win on the Americas account, but I'll probably cheat those and then play minions that cost 2 or less. So let's see if we've got a Murloc deck in here. Yeah, we do. Let's play that. Let's just also double check to make sure we've done the Tavern Brawl. I sure wish those Kobolds and Catacombs decks would count, because if they counted towards the to the main daily quests, I would be playing that for every stream these days. That would be much better. I've got, I think, a lot of news, either that or a lot of redundant news. Australian court has just reaffirmed that Valve misled gamers and they have to pay the 2.3 million fine that they were fined in 2016. This is how these legal court cases go, is it just gets dragged out forever and ever. Now, I don't even remember what... Oh, it's because in Australia you have to have a refund policy, and in the old days Valve didn't have a refund policy. This is the lawsuit that pretty much forced them to worldwide have a refund policy. So Australia has done a great favor for the entire world, where the Australian Compensation and Competition and Consumer Commission filed the lawsuit, and thank goodness for them, I suppose. It's probably not done as much for the rest of the video game industry, though. You don't... I don't think you can go to Walmart or GameStop and get an immediate refund on a game, even if it's been opened. No, people are still very much complaining about GameStop ripping people off for buying back used games at a significantly reduced price. So while they affected Valve, which does act in Australia, they didn't affect local companies that are only in the United States. And maybe down the line Valve will be able to have some kind of effect on local companies, but right now not really. But like I said before, at least they did something helpful for the consumer, which is always nice, because the corporations are always trying to screw you. Even Valve is trying to screw you in different ways sometimes. Valve's not terrible about it, but they're certainly not the easiest to deal with when you do have a problem. Here's a PC Gamer article that says, "Dear Square Enix, all I want for Christmas is Final Fantasy Tactics on PC." Okay, I can't disagree with the sentiment. Getting more games on PC, even ones that I really don't have any interest in, seems like a good move to me. Something that I would want. But really, hardly newsworthy printing. Every time I enter a contest and they ask you to follow somebody, follow a group of people, at least one of the people that I end up following on Twitter is just some random person. Like, it's not like a corporate account. I don't know why that is the case. It's probably because all of those giveaways are scams, if I'm going to be honest, and there is no prize and there is no winner. Tyler is saying, by the way, my screen name is totally not my real name. Yep, totally not my real name. I've been jokingly harassing Tyler for asking people personal questions, and then he's giving out more and more personal information about himself. And hopefully he never comes to regret it. There was a story on Reddit, I believe yesterday, where somebody went on like a hookup site, not something as respectable as Match.com or something, but a real let's get together and have sex with random strangers type site. And she used like a Skype name for that and gave it to probably a lot of people, but at least one person in particular who ended up being the hiring manager at a job that she was applying to many years later. So stupidly, she gives that exact same information a second time to the hiring manager, and he recognizes it. So the thing about letting information out is it's just out forever. Like, you may want to be president of the United States one day. To be president of the United States, I believe you have to be 55, maybe 65. It's a really old age limit. It's probably the highest limit you would ever think about. So doing something when you're 18 years old could come back and haunt you, particularly in the future. You can certainly see that there are definitely elements of that. Even now, things that people were doing as comedians 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are coming back to haunt them. So it's more and more important than ever to maintain your respectability and credibility throughout all of your life. I mean, I imagine most people can think of at least a few situations of things they did in kindergarten or middle school or high school that they wouldn't want the entire world to know about. And sadly, with the world full of so many cameras and so many documentations, ways to document things, those things will potentially be out there. Let's see, moving on with the news, there's Risk of Rain 2 has shown some screenshots. Now, I thought Risk of Rain 1 was a side platformer shooter game, which is weird because what I'm seeing right now is a 3D environment shooter game. So did they switch it to 3D? Yes, they did. The first question in this article is why to shift to 3D, and I think that the answer is probably going to be pretty obvious. It makes it different and gives a reason to make a Risk of Rain 2 instead of just improving upon Risk of Rain 1. Since Risk of Rain was kind of a randomly generated type game, it gets hard to justify making a sequel to it when you could just play the original. Rogue Legacy is probably a great example of that. Like we haven't seen a Rogue Legacy 2 because there's so much in Rogue Legacy 1 and it's so randomized. There's not too much you can add to it. Tyler goes, well, at least I know that you're not a kidnapper. Or are you? Nope. I'll flatly deny and not joke and say I am not a kidnapper. Let's see. Is this actual new footage of Darksiders 3 again, or is this just a different person reporting on the same new footage I've already seen? I think it's the same footage, yeah. I can already tell I'm going to be overhyped for Darksiders 3. I probably already am overhyped on it. Comcast and other ISPs in the United States are planning to hike the rates for 2018. This probably is slightly influenced by the repeal of net neutrality rules. It also very possibly was going to happen anyways. Maybe the amounts would have gone up less if there was more net neutrality. In the end, net neutrality isn't going to solve the problem of the monopolies of the ISPs in the United States. We need more competition. We need more broadband services. We need more city-run ISPs. Frankly, it should just be socialized, and there should be internet service to every single citizen, delivered by the government, instead of, in my opinion, instead of giving corporations big tax breaks, take more money from the corporations and give everybody internet and better internet. And then we could have voting online, and then everything would work pretty well. And the whole thing about net neutrality is it isn't even popular amongst rich corporate people either. It's only popular amongst AT&T, Time Warner, Comcast, Verizon. It's only the internet service providers who were the huge phone service monopolies in the past. They've been running monopolies over communication technologies for at least 50 years now, and they've never been good companies that have served the public interest at all. And at the end of the day, I personally don't believe corporations should be allowed to exist if they are actively hurting the society that they're supposed to be serving. The idea of a corporation, in my mind, has always been you make a business, it provides a service and helps society, you make a fair profit off of that. If you make a business, it actively hurts society if it's dumping toxic waste in the streets, and it shouldn't be allowed to make a profit on that, and it shouldn't be allowed to stay in business and continue to exist. Corporations have literally murdered people. Cigarette companies, for instance, literally actively knowingly killed people, and they've gotten away with it. Whereas if it was just an individual who had done that, that person would have been in jail and very possibly executed. So the idea of executing a corporation sounds like a good idea sometimes. And AT&T and Verizon, frankly, should be the first two on the chopping block. And if the government won't do it, then it probably should at some point just come down to a French Revolution style thing, and we just guillotine, we just kill the people, take them to the guillotines. If the government isn't going to serve the people, then the government shouldn't be in charge. If corporations aren't going to serve the people, then the corporations shouldn't be in charge. Because that's really where it's going to go. Is frustration is just going to get that high. And here we have some more of that daily quest glitching stuff. So let's come back here and see if I can trade anything. Nope. Yep. So I need to play 10 cards that cost 5 or more. Tragic Master says, agreed. Do you know the game Artifact that Valve is going to release? It's a card game that we got a game not like Half-Life 3. Taz says we will put them to the sword. It's like, frankly, it's going to get down to that way. Like, it would be in the best interest of Verizon, AT&T, and these other ISPs to start pretending like they care and start serving the community, or they are. It's going to get down to that. I've heard of the game Artifact. I've looked at it, I think, a little bit. I haven't done a ton of stuff with it. The thing here is there's, in 2018, going to be a Fable card game. There's going to be a new Magic the Gathering card game. I believe there's at least 2 other card games of note that are going to come out. The question is any of that going to succeed? As I'm opening a can here. Like, is any of those card games going to succeed over Hearthstone? Right now, I'm feeling better about Hearthstone than I felt with probably in the entire past year with the Kobolds and Catacombs expansion. Hearthstone is incredibly greedy still. It still wants a lot of money and microtransactions, but Apple is going to give us a little bit of help there, because now all loot box games, including this one, I'm sure, are going to require that you disclose the odds. So if Hearthstone has to disclose that when you buy a card pack, which on the iOS thing, you have a 1 in 250 chance of getting a legendary, which that sounds about right. If 50 card packs times 5 cards would be 250, then people will probably be a little less likely to buy at those low odds, although those odds aren't actually terrible. So maybe Hearthstone will start increasing the odds of getting better cards, and then that would just bring more people back to Hearthstone. But anything could happen, certainly. Artifact could be the next big thing. But then you also have to balance that with it's supposedly being developed in Valve. And nothing that ever gets developed in Valve ever seems to finish, because there's no managers in Valve that tell people, you have to work on this project, you have to finish this project, we need to get this out, get this game done and out the door by a certain date. There's just like no managers anyways. It's a completely flat structure, and they literally have wheels on their desks, so that if somebody is interested in one project, they just wheel their desk over to the other people working on that project, moving entire floors even. So as soon as somebody gets bored of working on a project, they just wheel their desk over to a different thing. And nobody is ever held accountable, and nobody ever has to finish anything. So it's very possible Artifacts will come out when Half-Life 3 comes out, which is to say never. But if it does come out and it's hugely popular, I'll probably play it. Let's see, Tyler says, "Ah, Rydo, I also have a canned drink too. I have some Dr. Pepper." Like, I drink what is called Fresca for the large amount of vitamin C and citric acid in it. It seems to be one of the few things that gives me a pick-me-up and keeps me awake, while not having horrible side effects like taking a 5-hour energy drink. Ironically, the misspelling of canned or caned would still make sense in the form of a drink, because you could be drinking cane sugar drinks. I don't like any of the sodas that have like Coca-Cola. It tastes horrible once you've not drunken it for a while. It's sticky and gross, and it just feels almost like you're drinking molasses. Yeah. 1 in 20 packs for a legendary, but you can go 39 packs without one if you are super unlucky, but there is a pity timer for legendary. Fresca is refreshing, says Tragic Master. Yeah, I drink way too many Frescas though. I've gotten worse and worse about it. Excuse me. I'm drinking 2 or 3 a day, and I should probably be drinking none, just drinking water. Has the odds changed? I used to think it was 1 in 50 packs to get a legendary. Wow, if they've already lowered the odds, that's good. But there's a lot of help that they need to do to new players in particular, but even long-term players. Like, 3 years in, I should have all of the classic cards. I should be working halfway towards a golden collection of classic cards. And when I've opened at least 50 packs of every expansion, I should have a significant amount of all the expansion cards too. But I'm missing so many on my main account, and I'm missing way more on the European and Asian accounts. Let's see, NVIDIA is finally ending GPU driver support for 32-bit operating systems. So if there's anybody that's still running a 32-bit operating system, which means you have less than 2 gigabytes, or was it 4 gigabytes of RAM that you're using in your computer, it's time to get a new computer. I imagine there might actually be a computer in my house or two that's still running a 32-bit operating system, but that one would almost certainly be better to install Linux on it at this point than try to install Windows 10 on it. And using an NVIDIA GPU on that isn't going to make a lot of sense. Let's see. PC Gamer has an article called "This Dark Souls inspired tarot deck is all pain, suffering, and cool pictures." It's not a game as in a video game. It is an actual animator has drawn a tarot set of, I bet, let's see, how many was it? 78 cards. That's the major arcana, I think, and not the minor arcana. But maybe it is both the major and minor arcana. So, no, there's a 4 of cups, a 2 of wands, and a 8 of swords. So that is the minor arcana too. The major arcana is just the cards like the kings, the queens, and the jacks equivalents. Now I'm looking at these pictures and they're not my style, but I certainly could see people liking it. Let's see. There was a deviant artist that made a major arcana tarot set based on his own anime inspired art style, and I always wanted to buy it from him, but I couldn't get around to doing it because it was a little too expensive and it had to be shipped from the UK, and I don't believe he ever finished the minor arcana, so I was waiting for him to do it. I was just gonna get the full set and put it in a nice picture frame or poster frame and put it on the wall because it was really nice art. I'll need to probably go back and see if he ever finished that, but that was like 10 years ago, and I'm sure somebody else has done it. If you go over to their Kickstarter, you can see a picture of each of them, which probably means that if you wanted to cheap out, you could just steal the image and print it out yourself, which was definitely a problem for anybody who puts anything on DeviantArt or any other imaging site, image hosting site. If you want this, you have to kickstart it. He has 101 backers and $6,325 already, with 17 days to go. Let's see if I can remember how this works so that you can see how much you would have to get to actually receive a deck versus just funding him. It kind of has a child storybook style of animation, but dark. It's not an H.R. Giger style. It's somewhere close to that, but not quite. Okay. Okay, the pledges are on the side. That's how Kickstarter works. I hadn't even looked at Kickstarter before I started covering news. And so if you pledge $5, you get a digital copy of the of a couple things. If you pledge $20, you get a digital copy and a poster. If you pledge $30, you get 2 posters and a digital copy. So you have to pledge at least $60 to get it, and that's a lot. That is a lot for a very niche macabre collectible. And you don't even get the poster for $60. You have to go up to $75 to get the poster again. Let's play this. And then attack. Let's see. 2 posters is $85. 2 copies is $100. So you do save a little bit of money if you wanted to buy 2. Let me look at the chat. Let's see. Tragic Master says the best thing they have done is make it. Darn it, I clicked on a link. I keep doing that. I have to wait for all that chat to load back up. The Nightbot putting the music makes those links appear, and because the links are there, I click on it half the time. Very annoying. Still loading the chat. One message at a time. If you ever wondered how YouTube can have all these videos on hard drives, well, here's the answers. That they're literally just putting the chat and probably a lot of the unpopular videos like mine on one hard drive somewhere, probably a rather slow hard drive. But it works for him, I suppose. Here you go. The best thing they have done is make it so that you cannot get duplicate legendaries. This helps me, a free-to-play player, play a ton. People are asking for them to do the same for epics. I would definitely appreciate that. They should do the same for all the cards. And I too am a free-to-play player for the most part. Maybe once or twice I've bought like a welcome bundle or something, but I've more than likely spent less than $60 in 3 years of playing Hearthstone. And then Tyler goes, let me guess, next week it's gonna be 1 in 5 for a legendary, but probably not. But we can hope. I would love that. Like, or ideally, they introduced the concept of the golden packs, and the golden packs were giving us either golden versions of cards or legendaries. I don't remember which it was. So they could just introduce the idea of every now and then they give you a golden classic pack and it just gives you 5 legendaries of the classic cards, and then they introduce a golden like pack for some of the wild sets where that doesn't even really matter. Ideally they should give new players just all the wild cards, since they're not allowed in standard anyways. Just be like, go wild, here you are, we don't care about these cards anymore. And that way people would at least feel like they have a lot more cards, and then they could be done with it. Let's see. Tragic Master says, Lil Walker Cho, I have that card. I love that card, Lil. I don't do a lot with them, but there are some strategies certainly built around playing with Lil Walker Cho. Triler and Tragic both say good game, thank you. This is another one of these articles that, since we're just kind of short on time, I'll just say it's there. It's talking about ScumVM. I've talked about that a lot, and how it's keeping old adventure games alive, and old games in general alive. It's a PC Gamer article, how ScumVM is keeping adventure games alive one old game at a time. Probably prompted by Maniac Mansion coming to Steam. I'm not even sure if Maniac Mansion on Steam is using ScumVM. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, though. But certainly the Full Throttle remaster is one of the games on my list I want to buy. I actually watched the Angry Video Game Nerd play Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, which is the worst, potentially the worst game ever, but also the worst 3DO game, definitely. It's not even really a game. It has like 5 dialogue choices and storyline choices, and that's it. And then it's just a bunch of still images and audio. Like, the funny thing about Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is it gets, in my head it was explained as this this softcore pornographic game that was really the first live action pornographic type game ever available, and that it was really naughty and really bad. But in reality, having now seen what it consists of, it just sucks. It's like there's a couple of stills of nudity maybe at the very beginning, but that's mostly it. There's no video. It's after the very first video in the game explaining the game, and then it's just still images throughout the rest. You would do a lot better playing Leisure Suit Larry as a series. You'd probably see more and have more enjoyment. It really doesn't deserve to even be remembered, but it is remembered for being so bad. Let's double back on the chat. Why does your enemy's avatar look like Ash from League of Legends? I don't know. Which avatar was it? Was it this or the hero, or maybe I already defeated him? Yeah, sorry, I'm not paying enough attention to have noticed anything like that. Yeah, I have no idea. ThinkGeek has a Pokeball serving set. So it's the top half of a Pokeball and the bottom half of a Pokeball that come apart, and you can put, you know, your peanuts, your pretzels, your tortilla chips, whatever you would serve out of it in it. And for $20, and I wanted to look at this, and I probably shouldn't even be mentioning it because this is just going to sound like a commercial. But I wanted to see if it was made out of plastic. It looks good, or if it was made out of like a ceramic or glass. Because if it's made out of plastic, it's big enough to squeeze a computer into it, like a small computer or anything else you want to squeeze in it. The bowls come with 2 dishwasher safe halves, and the red top and white top can slot together an approximate size of a volleyball. Let's see. It's officially licensed Pokemon merchandise. It's not microwave safe, so it probably is plastic. A lot of people want to know if things are BPA free. It doesn't say anything about that. But I think for the most part, everything is BPA free these days, if it's food. Yeah, first question. What's it made out of? It's made out of BPA free plastic. Hope that helps. That was the very first question. So, if you want a Pokeball serving bowl, I think he's got you handled, and I think I might try to get a couple of those and squeeze some Raspberry Pis into them and see how that would work, or even a mini ITX computer. But that very much has very little to do with video games. That's just me being a geek. The hero you're playing right now, says Tyler Farino. It looks fine to me. Like, this looks just like the mage character that has always looked that way to me. So I don't know, maybe the mage character always looked like that. This is a cool card to play on some rare occasions. Sadly, this isn't one of them. Let's skip over this article because that's going to get me into a rant. I'll come back to that one. How did I end up on a magazine website? Just a random click there. There's a job listing. We'll skip that. One of the people I'm following on Twitter is taking apart old Game & Watch games, and because the Game & Watch games don't have any, like, most of them don't even have a microcontroller chip in them. It's literally just metal etched in certain ways so that the game works. The logic is not programmed in a program, it's not put into RAM or anything like that. It is a flat board of silicon with the programming coded, hard encoded into the design. And so he's taking apart these things and chemically removing the top layers of the silicon and looking at the metal circuitry and trying to spend a lot of effort to take that metal circuitry and put it into an emulator. And one of the parts of that is he has to take the LCD screens, which was assumedly just hand drawn and then etched or replicated using some kind of method that I'm not even aware of, to replicate the hand-drawn LCD images. So the pictures on the screen aren't pictures, they're not bitmap files, they're not something you made in Paint. They are literally part of the screen, and all the game was doing to make the picture show up is it was putting a alternating current voltage in it, or it should have been, at least, because LCDs kind of need alternating current, not DC, which is kind of weird, but that's supposed to be how it works. Very possibly they were just being run on DC. So to get the images in the game, while he's painstakingly taking the metal circuitry and putting it into the MAME emulator, which, since every game is different, every single bit of circuitry for every game has to be put in there. In the meantime, he's also peeling off the LCD screens and scanning them in and turning them into high-resolution vector art files. So he's doing nearly as much work as just creating a new game to try to archive these very, very old things. Pre-NES games, most of the Game & Watch games were before the Nintendo Entertainment System. So it is a Herculean effort, and I salute him for it. Next bit of news, more video game related than that. That's more of just an archivist thing. Ubisoft has released the open source code for its World and Conflict servers, probably because it doesn't want to run the servers anymore. They lost support in 2015, so it probably wasn't too much for them to release the code. If I was to guess, the code was on the verge or had already been figured out or leaked anyways, and so Ubisoft can look like the good guys here and get a win for simply releasing something open source that probably was already stolen and out in the wild to begin with. That being said, there are gamers that are trying to get a DMCA exemption for abandoned online games. So things like the original WoW servers, which are no longer running, they would probably want to be able to reverse engineer those servers uh, and run their own. And that probably wouldn't work very well with Blizzard, since they said that it's effectively not abandoned at this point, but there's plenty of other games that the companies are out of business or they wouldn't even care. I'm not sure how many people really want to play those online games. This was the problem with online games in the first place. It was something that was pretty well known even to begin with, is the idea of putting everything online makes games very trashable compared to, say, Super Mario Bros. For the NES, where you can easily play Super Mario Bros. For the NES and have the exact same experience as you did the day it came out. You can't say the same for World of Warcraft. You can't say the same for half of the games that come out these days and have multiplayer experiences where the multiplayer servers are offline, or they are only multiplayer experiences. I think there's a new trailer for the new version of Catherine, so I'm trying to watch this trailer and see what it is. It's a pretty significant addition to the story to introduce yet another character to the game. Let's see. I might be able to win next turn if I don't lose this turn. So if this player decides to just let me live, This is another one of those games where I'm probably overhyped for it, and it's still no confirmation whatsoever that Catherine is coming to PC, so I can't even play it. So I'm way overhyped on that. But also, it's definitely benefiting for there not being not having very much news come out in the winter. Tyler says, this whole stream, one of my dog pups has been biting my hand, and now my hand looks like I stuck it in red paint. And he goes, my spelling today is real bad. You're on 1 HP, man. You're done. Good game. Well, yeah, I was on 1 HP. I was just hoping maybe they would get overconfident and let me continue playing. Then I'd play 2 Bloodlusts and succeed. I need to find out while we're here. 10 cards that cost 8 or more and a mage or hunter. So if I do, let's see, what can we get rid of? Let's just get rid of this hunter deck. It's time to start getting rid of these default decks. Anyways, hunter, wild, probably not necessary, but this 7+, and this really isn't the best. No, these are all 7s first of all, so that's not gonna work anyways. I need to come over here and start on the other side. Turn this off. And then I guess I'll just make a regular deck, because there's not really anything that would make it cheaper. Yeah, that's 30 cards. Custom Hunter 2. 10 cards that cost 8 or more. And get a victory with the Hunter. This probably could be a classic card. They should just pop up a warning saying there are no wild cards in this deck. How about we make this a standard deck instead? Tragic Master says I can give you hand with the big guy quest if you want a slower game. Are you on the European server, Tragic? I thought you were on the American server. Yeah, I'm on the European server right now. I don't think you're there. But thanks for the offer anyways. Gamma Sutra's Best of 2017 article. I do want to read this one. Brandon Sheffield's top 5 new games released for old consoles. So, there were apparently 5 games that were released for old consoles this year. And the first one was called Escape 2042 to Truth Defenders for Dreamcast, Genesis, and Game Boy. Of course, these aren't officially licensed games or anything like that. These are ROMs that you would have to put on either a special cartridge, or maybe some of these were actually put on a special cartridge and sold. And it looks like an old game. I think you're taking the nostalgia too far, honestly, if you're actively making a game run on old hardware and working with the limitations of old hardware. It's much better to just make a PC game that looks like an old game and not have to worry about the old limitations. Let's see. The next game was a game called Nantetate, Nantetate engine for the PC Engine, which was called the TurboGrafx in the rest of the world besides let's see. Like this ROM, the PC Engine had weird cartridges that were really just little cards that you put in. Let's see if I can see what the deal with. I don't know, the video they linked to is not the right. Anyways, it's an asteroids-like game, and the video is linking to some kind of Korean lady singing Christmas songs. Next game was a game called Shubin Man, so SHUBIBBIN Man 0 for the Super Famicom. Next game was 4x4 Jam by the Dreamcast. And then Star Fox 2 for the Super NES, which, you know, of all the games that certainly deserves to be mentioned is Star Fox 2 being released on the Super NES Classic. And then there's some honorable mentions for a game called Paraprium, Paprium for the Genesis, which is a brawler. Some Data East and Jolly Co multi-carts. A game called Rush Rally for the Dreamcast, Alice Dreams Tournament, for the Dreamcast, Unholy Night for the Super NES, Street Fighter 2 for the Super NES. Wait a minute, why would Street Fighter 2 never come out for the Super NES? I guess maybe the original Street Fighter 2 never came out, and Street Fighter 2 Turbo or Championship Edition came out instead. There's an entire engine called the Henshin engine for the PC Engine console. Most of these don't even seem like they are targeted towards English speakers. Tragic Master says, "Oh yeah, I'm North America. Didn't see you switched to European." Tyler Farino, 2 ads back to back, just like Cuphead. That game kind of looks like from the 90s or early 20s. Oh, two advertisements back to back. I was trying to figure out what he meant by that. The thing about Cuphead is it's on a modern PC console. It runs really good. It looks really good. It looks way better than it could have if you tried to run it on a Super NES or something. And I think the fighting is evolvingly getting more balanced in it. So it's a fair but difficult game, I would say. That it is also one of the games that's in the back of my head as one I would like to get in this winter sale. It's probably a little too expensive still, being relatively almost brand new, but it's something I would like to play to just kind of show whether I can play it or not. And I probably would embarrass myself a lot. A lot of people embarrassed themselves and showed they didn't have the greatest of skills when it comes to actually playing video games with Cuphead. And I probably would be one of those. I'd be very surprised if I started playing it and I beat all the bosses on normal in the first couple of tries and spent less than 5 hours on the entire game. But yeah, I probably would be better suited to play Cuphead when a Cuphead 2 gets announced, and that's something that would really happen. I kind of assume that it will happen eventually. I guess I have to kill this guy so I can do this. And this puts me very vulnerable. The next game for honorable mentions of old games that came out this year, one called Terma Demonica Natera dos Monstros. So it's a hack of a Wonder Boy, I think. Next game is a game called Generals of the Yang Family for the Genesis, and then Iron Commando. So someone at Gametsu, or no, Gamasutra, is keeping a very close eye on the homebrew scene of old games, which is nice to see some different types of reporting. Let's see if this is any information worth relaying.
So many possibilities.
Tyler said, yeah, I was going to say that. I would much prefer more people make games that look like Cuphead, but I would argue that Cuphead's animation style is influenced by old cartoons that played in movies like Steamboat Willie, not really by NES games. It's an entire generation before NES games. And the way they made Cuphead was probably not the smartest way to have made that game. They hand animated a lot of things that could have been cheated and done in computer while still getting that same style of animation. Well, I'm watching this trailer for a game called A Certain Magical Virtuon. It's due out on the PS4 and PS Vita in Japan on February 15th. I can't really figure out. Yeah, this is the one where you're flying around a mech robot and fighting, and then some small visual novel anime girl elements to it. So the girl that's piloting it, I think, is an anime girl. Moving on, Ubisoft is giving away Watch Dogs for free, and The World in Conflict, and Assassin's Creed's Black Flag. So if you want to go to Uplay, you can get those games for free if you log into Uplay. But the problem is, for me, I kind of need to buy it on Steam anyways, because if I don't buy it on Steam, I'll just end up buying it a second time. Regardless. Maybe, hopefully this will cast a spell. Yep, there are definitely ways I can get a lot of games for free, but if they don't end up in the Steam account, I'll just do it again, and that's not helpful. And I have over 600 games on my Steam account. Keeping track of the few that I got on some other launcher is just not viable. Double Fine came out and said Psychonauts 2 won't be released next year, which works great for me because that means I can take more time to get around to playing the original Psychonauts, which is apparently on sale for $1 right now. It has been on my list, but I was waiting for them to announce an actual day when it was going to come out. This is another opinion piece, and it's coming from PC Gamer, and PC Gamer has proven to me to be very biased towards the video game industry, so I don't even really want to read this article, but I'll mention it. PC Gamer has an article called How Lootbox Controversy Shaped Gaming in 2017. It certainly did, and I will just close the tab now before I start reading the article and find out that they say it shaped it for the better or somehow, or that loot boxes are good. I already mentioned it, but Apple's new guidelines for the App Store says they have to disclose loot box chances. I'll be interested to see how any of that changes things. I guess I needed a beast on the field, didn't I? I should have played this. So I imagine a lot of people are not going to follow those guidelines and get kicked off the App Store and then have to figure out some way to bend the rules and get around it. PUBG 1.0 is out of early access, but the CEO is promising big things in 2018. And that's kind of what it needs to do, because if he was to say that 1.0, what he's calling 1.0 is all the work they're ever going to do on that game, I think people would rather quickly abandon it to something else. A Broken Sword developer, the company Revolution, is working on the future of the adventure, which is a new game. It's called, quote, The Future of the Adventure. So the problem with Revolution making another point-and-click adventure game is the last point-and-click adventure game they made that I played was Broken Sword 5. And they've been doing these remakes and re-releases of the previous Broken Sword series. And at the end of it, after playing 5 Broken Sword games, it's not a great... None of them were that good. And I kind of learned to hate that series by the 5th one. The 5th, Broken Sword 5 in particular, was just really, really bad. So apparently that is not the game, even though they put it in quotes. It's not called The Future of the Adventure. They're speculating that it will be either Lure of the Temptress, which is another point-and-click game. Maybe I don't have that one. Or Beneath the Steel Sky 2, which would be odd because Beneath the Steel Sky 1 is open source free game, so you can download that directly from the ScumVM download site. Well, they have a link to where it is. Or some other IP. Ideally, I think they probably should do a new IP that they can fix some of the problems that they kept running into storyline-wise with Broken Sword, if they did. Tara says, Rydo, do a spotlight on Domina. It is a pretty fun game, and I played it myself. It is a gladiator type game, but you are a gladiator, not the gladiator. You're equipping the gladiators to fight. Let me alt tab to Steam and see. I might need to get down to the point where I just, if people want me to spotlight things, they might need to message me on Steam directly or message me on Twitter. This is, yeah, I've seen this game. It's rated very positively. It's on my wish list. That's all I can say. It is on my wish list amongst all the other games. But particularly doing spotlight, paying for a game like Domino. Let's see, it's $3.40. It's 66% off. Here's my decision-making process in a nutshell. I would not buy Domina on the sale because it's 66% off. I would not buy Domina because it is $3.40 for a game that you're asking me to do a spotlight on it, so I'm probably only going to play it for 30 minutes to an hour. Looking at it, that's probably the only amount of time I would play on it. And for a game that I'm just going to do one spotlight on it, when you compare that to the 99-cent games or the games that I just get for free, playing 3 times as much makes it a very hard choice to pick. So, like, it is on my wish list, but it wouldn't get to the top of the list and get in the actual shopping cart during the sale until it's at least 75% off right now. If I had all the other games on my wish list and I was scraping the bottom of the barrel, and if I had covered all the other games on my wish list, I would then start to consider it. Let's see. I suppose I can just go through the list here of what I have in my shopping cart. So what I have picked. Lego Marvel Adventures, some DLC because they added some more DLC to Lego Marvel Adventures, even though I've already colored that. That is one thing that gets missed a lot. Is there's not a great way in Steam to know if your games have any new DLC. So if you're missing any DLC, it's hard to find. And a lot of times the DLC that's DLC is just the soundtrack, and I'm not super interested in buying the soundtracks. It's just not an efficient use of money. The Disney Princess Fairy Pack, so I have more kids games, particularly more female-oriented kids games to play, which is a pretty good deal at $12.50 for 5 games, when each of the games individually are for sale for $5. Let's see. Pinball Arcade Season 2 Pro Pack, Batman the Telltale Series Season 1, the game Zombie, Zombi. That's one that's potentially on the chopping block. It's like $6 right now. It has mixed responses. I do want to play it at some point, and I keep looking at it, but every time I look at it, I reject it for being too expensive for a bad game. I'm gonna get the Double Fine bundle again, which is just Full Throttle Remastered, because I already have purchased the Double Fine bundle. One of the tricks you can do on Steam is buy a bundle. When they add more games to that bundle later, you can save more than most people. There's a game called Death Spank I want to get. Mighty Switch Force Hyperdrive, because I already covered the sequel to this game on accident. I want to get the game Disney Pixar Cars, because the best viewed video on YouTube completely is coverage of that video game, because people think it's the movie on YouTube, and they let kids sit there and watch it. So that's clearly a cynical choice to try to get more views, which I'm doing great on views right now. Great on subscribers, great on views. I want to get Papers, Please, because they're making a Papers, Please movie. That's $5. That's more than I'd like to pay for Papers, Please. It's too expensive. I want to get the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Collection for $1.74. The Assassin's Creed Chronicles Trilogy for $10. That's a pretty good deal. The game Valley for $4. I want to get the Tomb Raider collection because I already have most of the Tomb Raider collection purchased, but they added a few things, so that's another $6 to get some Tomb Raider things. Again, for the same reason of getting Disney Pixar Cars, I'm going to get Finding Nemo. I want to get the first 2 Nancy Drew games for $2.09 each. I want to get Gianna Sisters 2D for $1.60. I want to get the game called X-Blades for 99 cents, because eventually I'm going to buy that for 99 cents anyways. There's a game called Violet Remastered with a soundtrack edition for 99 cents. I believe it's a point-click adventure. And there's a game called Momodora 3 for 99 cents. And that all adds up to $118.37, which would give me how many cards? 12 Steam Awards cards to make badges. And I'll probably, on top of that, just buy some cash on my Steam account to buy more Steam trading cards and get my badge level up. I'm still doing the whole get your player level up on Steam so you can theoretically get a booster pack every now and then. It doesn't really even happen, but I'll stick with it for a while more. Not as many big ticket games as there once was in that list. There's just going for more AA and single A games instead of brand new indie games or brand new AAA games. Let's see. This 3 attack, why not? Just keep attacking. Next news story, there's a game called The Lion Song. There's a thoughtful and beautiful point-and-click adventure game according to PC Gamer. I will check that out. It's very sepia tone animations with just browns and whites. So I'll put that on the wish list. We already talked about this. Let's play this and this here and here. The game Frozen Synapse 2 has been delayed to 2018. I'm not sure anybody particularly cares, but it is actually news. Let's see, is there an actual date? Sometime in 2017. Let me watch the trailer of Frozen Synapse 2 so I know if it's the game I think it is. No, I don't think I've seen this one. This is not a very interesting trailer so far. It's showing me a 3D vector map of a city. I'm gonna have to skip ahead. Like, it's still just showing this map. Is there nothing else in this game? Is it just a management game? It's like a top-down management game of some sort. Well, I can see why it's delayed. It looks like it's the most boring game possible. There is some shooting, finally, 14 minutes into the video. Wow. Alright, well, I had no interest in Frozen Synapse 2 before. I have even less interest now. Let's see. Tyler says, oh, Tragic Master is gone. Well, it looks like it's just you and me, Rydo. And then Tragic Master puts a question mark. And then Tyler goes, oh, it looks like he came back. Sometimes people just go quiet. That doesn't mean they're gone. Particularly on the YouTube chat, the issue of people coming and going and saying, hey, I'm here, or goodbye, I'm leaving. I guess the chat kind of needs an online status option, but I'm not sure if people want to give up that information so that other people know who's online. It'd probably be helpful if there was just a bar at the top that said there's this many people are online, and you could maybe people could friend each other, and then this number of your friends. Well, we know what they're doing here. This is the standard win in one turn trick, which I have no solution for at all. So if I play this, I lose. If I play this, I lose. If I play this, I lose. Let's just play this. I should have played this. probably this one didn't attack. Guerrilla Games has ended its online support for Killzone 2 and Killzone 3. Or they will do that in 2018. Both are PlayStation 3 games. They're set to have their online service decommissioned on March 29, 2018. Killzone 2 marks exactly 9 years of support, while Killzone 3 will be kept on for a still impressive 7 years. So, I suppose the idea there is that that there might not be a Killzone 4, or maybe there's a Killzone 4, but I would announce Killzone 4 and have it out there. Maybe there already is a Killzone 4 out there. I guess Killzone was pretty popular. I've heard of it, certainly. Like, Fallout 4 New Vegas has a mod that is a mod that looks great with the base dynamic weather, according to PC Gamer. It's a work in progress project, I believe, to take Fallout New Vegas, which was the one Fallout not made by Bethesda that honestly is probably the best Fallout game in recent history, and sort of trying to, I think, put the story and the gameplay style of that in the Fallout 4 engine. Travis, of course, gave me Fallout 4, so at some point in the future I will have to play that. Tragic Master says Lurk Master, smiley face. And Tyler says it's said only one watching the stream. Yeah, I don't know if any of those numbers are right on YouTube. All those numbers can be wrong. So I put very little confidence into them. And frankly, I don't listen to it. What looks good to me is the fact that someone subscribed to my channel yesterday and someone subscribed to my channel today before I even streamed. That is a significantly high amount of subscribers in 2 days for me. And it feels like it's a snowball effect. Probably a lot of this has to do with people being off for Christmas, but I'm hoping that if I saw even one subscriber every day, that would be 365 extra subscribers, well, 1.5 times what I have now. That'd put me up to 500 subscribers, and I imagine you don't stay at 500 subscribers. I imagine it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it's possible by the end of 2018 I have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. 10,000 is probably pushing it, but who knows how much it snowballs. So I'm much more about subscribers than who's watching one particular stream. When I go back a day later or even 12 hours later and look at the streams, most of my streams get 25, 50 views. So people come back and watch it later. It's not a big deal.
So many possibilities.
Let's see. Next article, gonna load it up. I'm slowly closing these pages, but I have a lot of pages I skipped over. Gamasutra has the best, our top 5 Twitch streams of 2017. So this will be interesting. Killed this. Killed this. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Their first Twitch stream was their interview with the Prey lead Ricardo Bear. I bet this is all their own streams. Their second one is their panel on single player accessibility. So this is really just advertising themselves. And third was their chat with the Tacoma level designer Nina Freeman. And then next one is their look back at Oblivion with Ken Rolston. And then the next is our video critique of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus first hour. Total Biscuit, not a fan of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. This is kind of slimy. Can I get away with this? Can I make my own best of 2017 and then just list 5 of my streams as the best streams ever? Like, I think there's a lack of impartiality in this list, and that makes it seem inappropriate, unprofessional. If somebody was going to do a top 5 or top 10 Rydo live streams or Rydo videos, they would have to, they would need to not be affiliated with me or me. So some of these I mentioned as I was wrapping up last time. The Magic Leap has finally unveiled its long-awaited augmented reality goggles. I think they look kind of cool, but I've heard other people say they look geeky. Alright, and I could see that. It seems like there are several either infrared sensors or full-on cameras in the on the left and right of each lens, and in the middle on the nose bridge. And then there's a wireless video processing unit, it seems, that you put on your belt, and then there's a spoon-like controller that it's probably like a trackpad you move with your thumb. Now, it may not actually be a wireless processor. Magic Leap, just for reference, has raised over $1.9 billion in investor funding since 2011. So how any of that money is ever going to be recouped is questionable. You'd practically have to get a Magic Leap system purchased by every single person on the planet, depending on what the price is. And this is just augmented reality glasses, so it probably doesn't do anything that interesting at the moment. Well, we've still got a lot to do, and just for the sake of keeping things interesting, I'm going to jump over to the Asian server in the next recording. So stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.